What up, YouTube? How you doing today? Back with another video. Um, Sorry about that. I had to crack my knuckles. But anyway, today's video, not really going to be any facts or anything. This is just going to be my opinion. Just some thoughts. A thought I've had before. And that thought is, so you know the saying, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover? Like, I get the saying, right? Because the saying is like, oh, you shouldn't judge somebody basically based on their looks. You know, get to know a person, especially when it comes to, like, I'm talking in dating relationship sense, but even in friendship sense, like, you just don't know. You shouldn't judge somebody based off how they look or just sometimes first impressions. Because first impressions always don't tell the full picture, right? And so I understand that, right? But I would say, I think it's sometimes okay to judge a book by its cover. I think sometimes you should judge a book by its cover. And I want to make a disclaimer because, you know, just because it's good to make a disclaimer so people know what I actually mean. So, especially in the relationship sense, I can understand why they would say don't judge a book by its cover. Because, for example, if you know you're a guy and you're like, let's say you're attracted to a girl or a woman, and maybe she's a little bit bigger, she's a little bit on the fat side, right? You're still attracted to her, by the way. That's the thing. It's not like you're not attracted to her. You're still attracted to her. You know, you like her, she has everything you want, but she's a little bit on the bigger, heavier side, and you're like, I don't really like that, right? But you don't get a chance to get to know her or whatever, so you kind of off rip kind of like, you know, reject her, like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. She's on the bigger side, she's on the heavier side. I'm not dealing with that. But then you didn't know that she was actually working out, like, let's say 4 or 5 times a week. And so she's actually losing weight. Like, yeah, she's big now. She's a little bit bigger now, but she was actually working out and losing weight. But if had you got a chance to get to know her and talk to her, you know, you would have known that. Like I said, it's not like you weren't attracted to her. She had everything else, you know, for a lot of other stuff you wanted, but because she was big, it's like, nah. So you kind of missed out, you know. Or say you're a woman and you're talking to a guy and you find out he has a job that, because I've seen this example a bunch of times. Let's say he works at FedEx or he works at the mail company or whatever. And you're like, oh, he don't make a lot of money. I don't really want to talk to him. Nah, right? But because you didn't get a chance to really, all you know is, oh, he works at FedEx or he works at whatever job. What you didn't know was he had, like, money in stocks. He has real estate. And, you know, he's doing a little bit of crypto. He's building his assets and building his stuff. He's learning stuff. And because you didn't give him the chance, you missed out. You know what I mean? So in those situations, I can understand why it's like, don't judge a book by its cover, because, hey, judge a book by its cover in those situations can have you miss out, right? So that's the disclaimer I want to do. But the reason why I say you should judge a book by its cover, because sometimes it'll save you a lot of time, and especially in relationship heartache and stuff you just don't have to go with and deal with, right? And so a comparison for that is, I worked in the hotel industry for like 4.5 years, right? And so we would have, you know, over the 4.5 years, we would have homeless people that comes in. And because of the experience I had dealing with homeless people, there usually, for me, was like 2 types. Sometimes there was homeless people that would come in and, you know, you'd be like, oh, hey, how you doing or whatever. Maybe you didn't know they were homeless, but, like, sometimes you can tell, you know. Or, you know, they were just shady characters. They come in and be like, hey, how you doing? And either they, like, wouldn't talk to you, like, they look at you, and then they go back doing their business. They wouldn't talk. They would pace around. They would, like, have their head down, look kind of shady, right? And those usually were the type of people, like, if I saw people that were like that, then usually I would call a security guard, or I'd be like, sir, you know, are you trying to book a room? You can't just stay in the hotel, in the lobby, and do whatever, right? And the reason why that is usually people that do that kind of stuff, like, from my experience, were up to no good. That's just what it was. Either they were about to cause drama, you know, even though I didn't experience this, but I heard, like, my coworkers had to do, like, people tried to rob them, like, they were trying to steal something, like, just, you know, all kinds of issues you really don't want. So usually if I noticed that, you know, I would call you, like I said, you know, my security guard, and he would handle it. Or and call the police. Whereas I would have other situations where homeless people or people would come in and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And if they talk, talk back, oh, hey, how you are? And they'll just tell you, oh, I'm just here to get, a rest, or I was walking, or you have any water, I just want to use the bath. If they were usually pretty friendly and usually they would talk to me, have a conversation, I didn't mind letting those people stay in the lobby or just kind of chill and hang out, because most of the time they weren't bringing trouble, and only reason I know those two experiences is because, like I said, I went through them and I was like, oh, okay, this is what this is. This is what, this is how it is. So it was interesting because I had, working at a hotel and front desk, I had a lot of women coworkers, and anytime somebody would come in that was, looking kind of shady, they would all even be scared. But I was able to tell, be like, okay, no, this person, we need to call security. Now this person's chilling. He ain't, he not tripping into nobody. He not trying to do nothing. And the only reason I know that is, like I said, because of the experiences of what I've seen. I literally was judging books on the cover of what I seen. So it helped out because, I didn't have to worry about my female coworkers. I didn't have to, worry about their lives being in danger, especially, like I said, if I just called or whatever, or if I, like I said, the other ones where I knew they were, kind of friendly and I talked to them, whatever. So it's the same thing to me in relationships, to me, because it's there are certain things you'll see, especially if you've been through it. There are certain things you'll see and you'll be like, nah, I'm not going to deal with that, because, I've done with that before. It's for example, if you going on a date, you're a woman, you going on a date and you've been with somebody that was kind of super controlling and maybe, you end up being abusive, and let's say I don't know, you get a text or you get a call during your date, you answer for, say, hey, I'm on a date, whatever, you go there, and the guy's kind of like, oh, well, who was that? Who's that talking to you? And they're up in your business, oh, who's that call? Blah blah blah. Not oh, you had a call. It's well, who is that? Who's that calling you? Who's talking to you? Blah blah blah. And he's all kind of in your business from jump. A lot of women might be like, that's a red flag, because my last ex, that's what he was very controlling. He was always wanting to know who's talking to me, who was this, when was this, how was this, and control my reactions. So you'd be like, that's a red flag. Nope. Same thing with the guy. Let's say he just go on a date with a woman and she's like, oh, well, how much money do you make? From the jump, how much money do you make? What kind of house you live in? What kind of car you live in? It's all these financial questions about stuff around money. And it's that's kind of gold diggerish behavior. Somebody that's only with you for the money. I might be like, nah, I'm good, bro. And the reason why I say this is because what are book covers made for? They're made to attract the audience and get the audience attention. But if you look on the back, the book covers usually give you a little bit of synopsis of what's going to happen in the book, right? That's usually why you look at the back of the book. You're like, okay, you want to know what is this book about? And you look at the synopsis. And I feel like that's kind of how you do relationships when you go on dates, when you talk to people. You be like, well, what is this about? And so you're finding out, before you go and deep dive into the relationship, you find it out, and you can see certain things, you can see certain red flags, you can see certain behaviors, and be like, nah, I'm not dealing with that, because I know X, Y, and Z, right? I know for some women, right, this is what I've heard, if they hear dudes that, ask questions like, oh, well, what do you bring to the table? They'll immediately be like, nah, I'm not dealing with you like that. You know what I'm saying? Or if they hear stuff like, well, I'm an alpha male, they're not dealing with stuff like that, because from their experience, dudes like that, either they're all about, the ones that talk about what do you bring to the table, it's all about oh, do you have money and blah blah blah, and they're kind of selfish. And then the I'm an alpha male type stuff is the red pill community, which some of them are I'm gonna be real with you, they just hate women or whatever, and they're just trying to use women for sex or whatever. So I can understand why some women be like, nah, certain phrases they say, they're like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. Same thing with dudes, because I know for me, if I hear any woman talk about I'm a strong, independent woman, that's an immediate red flag. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that. Some of y'all might be harsh, but oh, you're not even good chance. No, I'm not dealing with that, because I already know what comes with that. That's very aggressive attitude. That's a very you ain't gonna tell me what to do, blah blah blah. I have an attitude. I'm like, nah, I'm just not dealing with that, bro. If I hear that, oh, I'm a strong, independent woman, and me and a lot of other dudes, it's not just me, hear that, they're like, Same thing if you hear, a woman talk about anything, the patriarchy, nope, that's a red flag. They say any kind of super feminism, liberal terms like that, oh, the patriarchy and men this, men that, nah, bro, I'm not dealing with that. Because it's just, for me, I know what comes with that, and so I'm just like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. So in a sense, I'm judging a book by its cover just because of certain words they say, certain phrases they may say or do, certain actions that people may do, you're essentially judging a book by its cover. And like I said, I think that's good just because like it can help you and save you from heartache and stuff. So yeah, that's really hard to say. It's like sometimes, when people say don't judge a book by its cover, I would argue, like I said, judging a book by its cover will actually help you out, at least in relationships, in a sense. Especially when it comes to like bad things or red flags or certain actions people do, and you're just like, okay. That's why sometimes people will look on people's social media, they'll see how they act, what they post. And, if you're a guy and you're looking at a girl's social media and she's posting half naked pics all the time, and that's not, you're like, nah, I'm good, bro. I don't want that. I want a woman that's more modest or whatever. Or if you're a woman and you look at a dude's social media, he's posting like crude jokes about women or whatever, and it's just like, nah, I'm good, bro. I don't want to date somebody like that. That's what, like, I can understand. So that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, sometimes judge a book by its cover because it'll help you out. Anyway, that's all I have to say. What do y'all got to think or say about it? Leave in the comments below. All right, peace out. Bye.